University of Miami.
Right. His work touches on so many different
Well,
things.
Exactly. Like data analytics meetings,
Yeah.
SEO algorithms, or maybe AI stepping into forensic accounting. It's that kind of terrain we're covering today.
Mm-hmm.
For you, we've put together a collection of sources that really highlight these dynamic connections. Our mission is basically to pull out the most compelling insights and show how these seemingly separate areas actually weave together.
In ways you might not expect, yeah. We've got a really interesting mix of material. Imagine taking a peek into live discussions. We have transcripts from YouTube videos covering, well, everything from AI's potential role in expert witness testimony to practical tips for managing your digital files, and even some personal finance chats around ETFs. Then we kind of shift gears to the mechanics of algorithmic trading using info from Wikipedia and
They have these on sale, these magic erasers.
Okay, sure.
You look tired. I got some honeys.
Okay, sir, thank you.
I'll put it by the coffee, okay?
Okay.
Same place where your coffee is?
Yes. Got it. 13/25. The day of the week is a Sunday. Capital S, lowercase u. Capital S, lowercase u for Sunday, and the time of the day is at 2:11 p.m. Is the time now. 2:11 p.m. the current time, and we started at about 10 a.m. and this will go to the log subfolder. So let's see if I can find the log subfolder here. Edit, fine, log, find next. And here's the log subfolder. edit, copy to the clipboard buffer, and then insert it. Control V, the beginning. This is going to be all about Notebook LM, which I forgot to note. So Notebook LM, Notebook LM. Convert the colon to a dash. And now I want to mark it the entire area here, 1 and 2. Edit, copy, and then file, save as. Paste. Paste. Copy. Save it. Then I want to segregate this area with some marks like open bracket and close bracket. And save it. Then start a new folder. Just like that. Copy. And say this is good. Then copy it into my notes. And save the notes here. Like that. Edit, paste, file, save as. I'll make this A and space, and that will be TX. Again, copy this to the clipboard buffer. Give the link be spaced like so. This will be version A. must be a text type of file. And we take it to the clipboard buffer, edit, copy, file, save as, paste, save. Now we can continue. I got one copy here with that text folder, another copy here with WordPad, so RTF type of a folder. And then we can also color this blue so it stands out a little better. So two file formats, one on the left side, the other one on the right side here. Now we are ready to add a few more recording devices. Don't need the uppercase. And I do want to record it also with the video. I'll turn on, oh my, it's okay, I'm turning on this video. Try, close. Then, in addition to that, I'm going to set another camera up here, see if that works. Launch free version. So if you can record it here. Record here, and then boom. One other thing that I forgot to do is to put in my notes also the URL. Copy. Edit, paste, file, save. Okay. So now I want to start recording here. See if it will work. One other recording is the bizarre problem step recorder. I want to make sure that I set it to settings to 999. 999 screen and start recording. What happened to my zoom or room counter? I don't know, but I cannot see it. Oh, here it is. Okay, 35 seconds already. It's just a bit slow. Okay, so now I want to start, see whether we can play it back. But I want to play it back in beta. For that purpose, I want to select beta and see if it will work. So we're going to start it from the beginning and see how it works. And I know that I have problems, and if I have problems and it doesn't work, I'm going to use another browser. I know that there is a browser issue here. So let me make sure that all the cameras are working, which they are. And the PSAR is working, which it does. Okay. And what about the video file name? I'm not sure. So I'm going to snap the video file name before I continue with File Explorer. I'm going to scroll down the video and then scroll down to the folder that is currently in use. Right mouse click pretending that I want to rename it, which I don't. Then I can copy it to the clipboard buffer. And then I can go back to my notes and paste it in my notes. I think that I have it now. I remember I had it in the file name, so I really don't have to worry about it. But just to be on the safe side, I'm going to put it in the file name. Again, just to make sure. Now we're running into problem. Why is my cursor there? Oh, it's just slow. Okay, paste. Okay, file save. Just slow, that's all. Just have to wait a little longer. So I want to go to PSAR. Start a new recording and add a comment with the previous file name.
You want anything to eat?
Please don't interrupt me, thank you. Whatever you say is recorded now, so beware of it, okay? So I want to start the interactive mode, so I click beta, and it seems like it is working, so that is good. And we'll start the playback. Listen to the discussion and try to let me say that you want to join in when you do.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a really fascinating zone where technology intersects with a surprisingly wide range of professional fields.
Yeah, it's pretty broad.
And our guide for this exploration is sort of the extensive work and diverse interests of Dr. Avi Rushinek, who's an accounting professor at the University of Miami.
Right, his work touches on so many different things.
Exactly. Think data analytics meetings, say SEO algorithms, or maybe AI stepping into forensic accounting. It's that kind of terrain we're covering today. For you, we've put together a collection of sources that really highlight these dynamic connections. Our mission is basically to pull out the most compelling insights and show how these seemingly separate areas actually weave together.
In ways you might not expect, yeah. We've got a really interesting mix of material. Imagine taking a peek into live discussions. We have transcripts from YouTube videos covering, well, everything from AI's potential role in expert witness testimony to practical tips for managing your digital files, and even some personal finance chats around ETFs.
Right.
Then we kind of shift gears to the mechanics of alcoholic trading using info from Wikipedia and a regulatory view from FINRA.
FINRA, yeah. Important stuff.
Definitely. We'll also be looking at best practices for audit logs and cybersecurity, some material from a We Robot 2014 event that involved Dr. Rishenek.
Ah, interesting connection there.
Yeah, and a Reddit thread on long-term video storage and explanation of surveillance from Wikipedia, that's participant recording.
Surveillance, okay.
The capabilities of Google's Video AI, a Forbes guide on video SEO, and finally the CV of Dr. Saranef Rishenek, who actually shares some research interests with Avi.
Wow, okay. Quite the range. So for you, the listener who's keen to absorb new information efficiently, get the bigger picture, we're going to extract the key ideas, connect the dots between these sources, and aim for those aha moments without getting totally lost in, the technical jargon.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, let's dive right in. Let's start with this really intriguing discussion on AI and expert testimony from those YouTube transcripts.
Yeah, this is fascinating. What's really interesting here is the potential for AI to be integrated, like directly into the process of expert witness testimony.
How so?
Well, imagine an AI flagging crucial details in real time, almost acting as a kind of co-pilot for the expert.
Okay.
Which could really reshape how expert analysis gets done.
Right. And whoa, did someone just break the fourth wall? Let's hear it.
Yes, this is expert witness testimony and computer litigation support using AI.
Absolutely, you've honed in on something really key there. The source material we're looking at definitely emphasizes that intersection.
Exactly. What's fascinating here is how AI could really augment the work in those very areas you mentioned.
It's like having an AI research assistant on steroids, almost, specifically tailored for legal and expert scenarios.
Pretty much. And building on that, the transcripts even touch on this really fascinating prospect of being connected not just with one expert, but maybe a virtual conference of multiple experts.
Wow.
Reaching a consensus on new or emerging... Oh yeah, let's hear it.
Especially AI caller can join the expert witness testimony in real time and participate in the testimony.
You've hit on something truly forward-thinking, the idea of an AI actively participating.
Yeah, that join feature in the transcripts, it really sparks some thoughts.
What's fascinating here is how the AI could become a real-time collaborator.
Offering insights and maybe even flagging details as the testimony unfolds.
Exactly. The source material mentions the AI listening in.
And then adding the professor's explanations to its knowledge base.
So it's constantly learning and could potentially contribute in real time.
It raises some interesting questions about how that might reshape expert work.
Definitely. But the transcripts also highlight the value of human collaboration.
Right, they talk about different university departments working together.
Sharing knowledge and even having joint appointments to bridge silos.
That human element of diverse expertise is still so crucial.
It feeds the AI's learning, creating a richer understanding for legal testimony.
The AI could then become this central point for collective intelligence.
Potentially identifying connections that individual experts might miss.
Okay, let's think about the practical side of all this digital information.
Managing online files effectively, which the transcripts touched on.
Little things like knowing the difference between a Google Doc and a shortcut.
Simple, but important for avoiding lost files, especially in litigation.
And that tip about mirroring files for local access is so practical.
Streamlining workflows when dealing with those large case files.
The transcripts also have that personal finance bit.
Someone calling about ETFs, it showed how complex those can be.
Even getting clear answers wasn't straightforward.
Underscores the need for financial literacy.
But also how tech might improve customer service in those areas.
Breaking down those internal barriers for a smoother experience.
Interestingly, they mentioned using a steps recorder,
For creating those detailed digital logs of action.
which ties into our,
This is PSAR, Problem Step Recorder, Executable.
That's a strong reaction. What specifically struck you as bizarre? Was it the idea of AI joining expert testimony?
Or perhaps the sheer number of steps someone might take to document a simple, hey, yeah, what's up?
It is PSAR, P.S.R, which stands for Problem Step Recorder.exe executable.
Ah, yes, the problem step recorder executable.
Okay, let's unpack this. What about it seems bizarre to you?
The sheer act of meticulously recording every single step taken.
Right, it's almost like creating a digital breadcrumb trail.
And the transcripts we looked at really highlighted that process.
Remember how many steps were involved just to save a file?
Exactly. It can seem a bit extreme at first glance.
But when you consider the context, like litigation,
where having a detailed, verifiable record is crucial.
suddenly that level of meticulousness makes more sense.
It's about...
Oh, back to our listener. What's up?
Also design an algorithm to be automated by AI.
Oh, that's fantastic. Tell us more about that.
That's right up our alley. Are you thinking about it for a specific purpose?
It's fascinating how AI is increasingly being used to automate algorithmic processes.
It takes that pre-programmed logic to a whole new level of adaptability.
The Wikipedia excerpt we looked at touched on machine learning integration.
How algorithms conduct.
Oh, go for it.
And it can even generate the code, like for VBA, Visual Basic for Application, within Excel or other apps.
That's incredibly insightful.
The ability of AI to generate code itself.
It really speaks to how far this technology has come.
It moves beyond simply following preset rules.
That self-adapting capability is a real game changer.
It moves beyond those static, pre-programmed rules.
So what kind of algorithm are you working on?
And how do you envision AI playing a role?
You know, thinking about the practical side of digital record keeping.
Much like we saw with the problem step recorder,
Audit logs serve a similar purpose on a broader scale.
as that article highlighted, they're digital diaries.
A chronological record of system activities.
Absolutely crucial for security and compliance.
But let's circle back to Oh yeah.
Especially for team collaboration among the expert witnesses, the lawyers, the defendants, the various court operators.
That's a fantastic point. The transcript that we've been looking at really underscored the value of that kind of collaboration.
Absolutely. What's interesting here is how technology can really facilitate that team dynamic you're describing.
Think about those discussions around AI in expert testimony. That joint feature could be huge for real-time collaboration.
Imagine everyone involved being able to see and even interact with the information an AI is surfacing.
It could create a much more transparent and informed process for everyone across the board.
And when you mention the different parties involved, it brings to mind those transcripts talking about different university departments working together.
That idea of bridging knowledge silos becomes even more critical in a legal context with so many stakeholders.
The AI could potentially act as a central hub, synthesizing information from all these different perspectives.
It could help identify areas of agreement or even flag important discrepancies for the team to address.
This really highlights how these seemingly separate pieces of the transcripts, like AI collaboration and cross-departmental work, connect to real-world needs in the legal field.
It's all about fostering a more connected and efficient workflow for everyone involved in the legal process.
Which leads us into...
Oh yeah, go on.
Not only more efficient, but more understandable by removing or converting accents to standard American accent.
That's a really interesting thought.
It brings up some fascinating questions about communication.
You know, how technology might influence our speech pattern,
It makes me think about those discussions on streaming.
and how different codecs handle audio,
The source material mentioned the importance of clear audio.
especially when integrating AI into real-time discussions.
Clear speech would definitely be crucial for accurate analysis.
Absolutely. And in a collaborative legal setting.
Ensuring everyone can easily understand each other is key.
Effective handling of online files becomes paramount then.
Knowing the difference between a shared document and a shortcut.
That can save a lot of headaches for collaborating teams.
And those tips about mirroring files for local access are so valuable.
For ensuring everyone has reliable access to crucial documents.
Now, thinking about the security side of this collaborative environment.
Audit logs become absolutely essential for tracking access.
As that article highlighted, they create a crucial record.
Especially important with multiple parties accessing sensitive information.
These logs ensure accountability and can help identify breaches.
So, maintaining the integrity of these digital spaces is key.
Which brings us back to best practices for audit logs.
Making sure logging is enabled across all relevant systems.
Regularly reviewing those logs for any unusual activity.
Often, specialized tools are necessary to manage that data.
And securing those logs themselves is non-negotiable.
Real-time alert. Oh, go for it.
And uploading them to Notebook LM and similar AI systems for podcast.
That's a really timely observation.
Absolutely. We were just touching on how AI could integrate into various professional settings.
And systems like Notebook LM definitely have potential in podcasting.
Imagine using AI to summarize key points from research.
Or generate episode outlines.
It could be a fantastic tool for content creation.
The source material touched on AI analyzing video and audio.
Notebook LM and similar systems could certainly assist with that.
They could help us identify crucial moments in recordings.
Or even transcribe and analyze listener feedback.
It's all about leveraging AI to enhance the podcasting process.
They also contribute to a more transparent process overall.
Allowing for thorough analysis and clear accountability.
Ensuring that all shared data remains accurate and trustworthy.
Ultimately, these robust digital practices strengthen security.
Now shifting to surveillance from Wikipedia.
This concept of individuals recording events independently.
It could have interesting implications for team transparency.
Especially for creating records of meetings within a legal team.
And thinking about the capabilities of video AI.
Its ability to analyze video could be invaluable.
For reviewing recorded meetings or depositions.
Automatically identifying key moments or extracting information.
Which then connects to the idea of video SEO.
Making shared video content easily accessible for all members.
Using relevant keywords becomes important even within a team.
As we've seen, these technologies really do weave together.
Especially when we consider Dr. Rishenek's diverse expertise.
His background speaks to the importance of effective collaboration.
The idea of integrated and secure collaboration is key.
As we wrap up, technology offers immense potential for teams.
It raises questions about leveraging tools for transparency.
It's a continuously evolving landscape we've just touched on.
We encourage you to keep thinking about these connections.
There's always more to explore in technology and collaboration.
Thank you so much for sharing your insightful perspective today.
It's always a pleasure to delve into these topics with you.
Until our next deep dive conversation, take care.
Okay, so that was very good, and that concludes our review of Sarah F. Rushnick academic profile and publication, and integrating the special joint functionality of Google. And now we would like to do a few other functions of the Notebook LM and see whether we can generate a mind map. So I'm going to click on the mind map. And then a study guide. The mind map looks good. We can take a snapshot of the mind map, download it with a ping, and also capture it with a screenshot. I want to move my image to another location where it is out of the way. So window, print screen, and now go to the notepad, the WordPad rather, and paste it in the WordPad. and then save. Why did I lose my notes? Which browser was I using? Not sure here. Now I want to add a study guide. I want to add remote video inspection recording work, study guide, and a briefing doc. Then a fact, frequently asked questions, and finally a timeline. And now we can play it back with the regular playback and listen to it as we are working on various systems.
A regulatory view from FINRA.
FINRA, yeah.
Yeah.
Important stuff.
Definitely. We'll also be looking at best practices for audit logs and cybersecurity, some material from a We Robot 2014 event that involved Dr. Rushanek.
Ah, interesting connection there.
Yeah, and a Reddit thread on long-term video storage, an explanation of surveillance from Wikipedia, that's participant recording.
Surveillance, okay.
The capabilities of Google's video AI, a Forbes guide on video SEO, and finally, the CV of Dr. Sarah F. Rushanek, who actually shares some research interests with Avi.
Wow, okay. Quite the range. So for you, this listener who's keen to absorb new information efficiently, get the bigger picture. We're going to extract the key ideas, connect the dots between these sources, and aim for those aha moments without getting totally lost in the technical jargon.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, let's dive right in. Yeah. Let's start with this really intriguing discussion on AI and expert testimony from those YouTube transcripts.
Yeah, this is fascinating. What's really interesting here is the potential for AI to be integrated, like directly into the process of expert witness testimony.
How so?
Well, imagine an AI flagging crucial details in real time, almost acting as a kind of co-pilot for the expert.
Oh, okay.
Which could really reshape how expert analysis gets done,
Right. And the transcripts seem to emphasize that this isn't just a static tool, is it? It learns.
Exactly. This AI has the capacity for continuous learning. It's constantly refining its abilities to process information, respond to inquiries. The idea is that it could automate those initial, maybe more routine parts of information gathering, freeing up the human experts to focus on the really complex, nuanced stuff in a case.
It's like having an AI research assistant on steroids almost.
Pretty much. And building on that, the transcripts even touch on this really fascinating prospect of being connected not just with one expert, but maybe a virtual conference of multiple experts, reaching a consensus on new or emerging issues. This idea of a collective AI intelligence, drawing from all these different specialized knowledge bases. It's a pretty thought-provoking development.
Yeah, it really is. And this leads nicely into another point from the transcripts about the value of, human collaboration. They mentioned different university departments, finance, healthcare, working together, maybe even offering joint appointments to kind of bridge those traditional knowledge silos.
That's such a key connection. This idea of multiple human experts contributing their knowledge, their insights, their experience, which then feeds the AI's learning process.
Right.
It allows the AI to develop a much richer, more comprehensive understanding. The AI sort of becomes the central hub where different perspectives converge.
And potentially identifies connections maybe a single expert might miss.
Exactly. That's the potential power there.
Okay, let's shift focus now to something maybe a bit more grounded. The practical side of managing our digital lives. Specifically, how we handle online files, as discussed in the transcripts.
Yeah, the day-to-day stuff. What jumped out at you there?
Well, it's those things that seem small but can cause big headaches, Like understanding the difference between storing a Google Doc directly versus just making a shortcut.
Oh yeah, classic mistake.
It can save a lot of lost files and frustration. And that tip about mirroring files for local access. That's just one of those simple digital habits that can really streamline your workflow.
Absolutely. These basic digital literacy skills are often taken for granted, aren't they? But they're really the bedrock of working productively today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the transcripts also had that conversation about personal finance. Someone calling Fidelity about ETFs, exchange traded funds.
That's right. And it really highlighted how complex some of these financial products can be.
Yeah, definitely not always straightforward.
Even getting clear answers to what seem like simple questions can be a challenge. It just underlines how important financial literacy is for everyone, especially with savings.
And the representative's suggestion to use an ETF screener tool, that's a really practical takeaway for anyone looking into those investments.
Sure.
But what also stood out was the caller's experience, that frustration with the silos within a big company like Fidelity.
Oh, absolutely. Having to repeat their story multiple times to different departments,
Yeah.
it just makes you think how technology, maybe AI, could potentially streamline those initial customer service interactions, right?
Yeah.
Make it more seamless.
That's a great point. How tech could maybe break down those internal communication barriers for better customer service. Interestingly, the transcripts also mention using a steps recorder.
Steps recorder.
Yeah, for creating detailed digital logs of actions, which actually connects quite neatly with our later discussion on audit logs for security.
Ah, okay. Good link. All right, let's move on then to a completely different but equally compelling area, algorithmic trading. Our sources from Wikipedia and Finra give us a pretty good overview here.
Yeah, and what's fascinating about algorithmic trading is how it's evolved. Wikipedia talks about how it started with, basic pre-programmed rules.
Like if X happens, then sell Y.
Pretty much. Triggering trades based on specific market conditions using technical indicators to automate actually placing the order. But the real game changer was machine learning,
Okay,
particularly deep reinforcement learning, or DRL.
right, DRL. And unlike those older, more rigid models, DRL uses simulations to train the algorithms, doesn't it?
Exactly. So they can adapt dynamically to the constantly changing market conditions. They're always learning, always refining their strategies.
And the 2022 study you mentioned highlighted DRL's ability to handle risk and reward, especially when markets get choppy.
Yeah, it showed DRL could navigate that balance effectively, particularly in volatile markets where maybe more traditional systems might struggle.
So putting this in context,
Yeah.
the 2010 flash crash,
Yeah.
that really brought algorithmic trading and high-frequency trading, HFT, into the public eye, didn't it?
Oh, massively. The initial report suggested an algorithmic trade kicked off a cascade of selling,
Right.
and that HFT strategies might have amplified the volatility, made it worse.
That was a huge intraday swing in the Dow, wasn't it? Even though prices did bounce back relatively quickly.
They did, but it definitely raised alarms. And as a direct result, we saw increased regulatory scrutiny, which is where our FINRA sources come in.
Okay, so what did FANR do?
Well, the notices clearly show the regulatory focus shifting onto firms using algorithmic trading. There's specific guidance on setting up effective supervision and control systems,
Makes sense.
and also requirements for the actual people involved in designing, developing, or significantly modifying these trading algorithms to be properly registered.
So accountability for the creators.
Exactly. And the ongoing guidance in the 2024 and 2025 FINRA oversight reports about manipulative trading just shows this regulatory attention isn't going away.
Okay, so when we talk about these algorithmic trading strategies, what kinds are we actually talking about? With
Yeah, one interesting one is trading ahead of index fund rebalancing.
How does that work?
Well, index funds have to periodically adjust their holdings to match their index, right?
Right.
So algorithmic traders try to anticipate these adjustments and profit from the price movements they expect will happen. It potentially transfers some profit from, say, passive investors to these active algorithmic strategies.
That's insightful.
Yeah.
And maybe a little concerning for the passive folks. Then there's arbitrage.
Arbitrage is clever. It's about exploiting tiny price differences for the same asset across different markets.
Like finding a stock cheaper on one exchange than another.
Exactly. Ideally, the trades happen simultaneously to lock in a basically risk-free profit from that imbalance. The example given was S&P futures versus the actual S&P 500 stocks.
Got it. And scalping. That sounds quick.
It is. Scalping is basically trying to profit from that tiny difference between the buy price bid and the sell price, the bid-ask spread. these traders jump in and out of positions really fast, often within seconds or minutes, just capturing that small spread repeatedly.
Statistical arbitrage sounds a bit more complex, though.
It is, yeah. It involves identifying temporary deviations from historically significant statistical relationships between different assets, then trading based on that expected return to the norm.
And event arbitrage.
That's about profiting from specific anticipated events like a merger announcement or a drug approval that are expected to move the prices of related stocks or assets.
Right. And then there are the ones that are definitely not okay.
Yes. Spoofing and, quote, stuffing. Spoofing is placing orders you have no intention of actually executing.
Why do that?
To create a false impression of market demand or supply, basically to manipulate prices. Quote, stuffing is flooding the market with huge numbers of orders and then canceling them immediately.
To confuse things.
Yeah, to overwhelm slower traders and maybe create tiny, fleeting arbitrage chances for the super fast HFT firms. It's important to stress these are illegal, but, they can still happen.
Now, Wikipedia brought up this concept, non-ergodicity. That sounds complicated. Can we unpack that a bit?
Let's try. Think of it like this. In a simple, predictable system, what happened in the past is a good guide to what will happen next. Right?
Usually, yeah.
Non-ergodicity means that in today's complex financial markets, especially with all the algorithms interacting, the market's dynamics aren't stable and predictable like that. The past isn't always a reliable predictor of the future in the same way.
So the game keeps changing.
Exactly. An algorithm's success really depends on its ability to anticipate how the market itself is going to evolve. That's why quantitative analysts use tools like the binomial evolution function.
What does that do?
They use it to try and estimate an algorithm's predictive power, basically trying to figure out if its success is real skill or just luck in a changing environment. It's like trying to predict the path of a river that keeps carving new channels.
And how does that binomial evolution function work, roughly?
Well, at its core, it's a statistical way to estimate the probability that an algorithm got its results just by random chance.
Okay. A really low probability suggests the algorithm probably has some genuine predictive skill. A high probability might mean its apparent success was just, well, luck.
Gotcha. We also hear the term high-frequency trading, HFT, a lot. How does that fit with algorithmic trading overall?
HFT is really a specific subset of algorithmic trading. It's defined by certain characteristics.
Like what?
Like extremely high trading volume and turnover, a very high ratio of orders placed compared to actual trades executed.
Okay.
The use of super sophisticated algorithms, physically locating their servers right next to the exchange's servers for speed that's co-location.
Right, for low latency.
Exactly. Very short-term investment horizons and also a high rate of canceling orders. It's pretty striking that HFT firms, while maybe a small percentage of all trading firms, account for a huge chunk of the total stock trading volume in the U.S.
Wow. So what are the main upsides and downsides of this whole algorithmic trading world?
Well, on the plus side, it's generally boosted market liquidity, made it easier to buy and sell assets quickly without moving the price too much. Okay, that's good.
But it's also created a much tougher, more competitive environment for traditional human brokers and traders.
Right.
This idea of cyborg finance is interesting, where automated systems and human expertise increasingly share the dominant roles.
Cyborg finance, I like that. What about downsides?
Technical risks are huge. Things like network latency, system glitches. Knight Capital Group's massive $440 million loss from a software bug is the classic, terrifying example.
Ouch. Yeah, I remember that.
Even the speed of news reporting has become critical. Algorithms are trying to trade on news milliseconds after it breaks.
It's incredible how markets have changed. You see more fully automated systems like NASDAQ becoming the norm, and that's led to lower commissions and fees for investors, right?
Generally, yes. And it's fascinating seeing people from fields like physics coming into finance as quantitative analysts. This field of econophysics really shows how interdisciplinary finance has become.
It's kind of weird, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wikipedia points out that while algorithms try to simplify trading at the micro level, all their interactions together can actually make the overall market more complex and less predictable.
It is a bit paradoxical, yeah. Like lots of simple rules leading to very complex emergent behavior. Like an ant colony, maybe?
Good analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's transition now to something that sounds different but is actually super relevant in this digital age. Audit logs. That article from Fortune's Digital Guardian had some key insights.
Yeah, fundamental stuff. Basically, audit logs are just detailed chronological records of what happens within a system.
Like a digital diary for the system.
Exactly. Who did what, when they did it, and what the result was. This trail is invaluable for security, for meeting regulations, and even just for figuring out technical problems.
Right, and the article laid out some really crucial best practices for managing these logs. Like, obviously making sure logging is actually turned on for critical systems.
Sounds basic, but easily overlooked. And ensuring you're logging comprehensively, capturing the important data and events. Plus, actually reviewing the logs regularly to spot anything suspicious.
You can't just collect them, you have to look at them.
Precisely. And given the sheer volume of data these logs generate, using specialized log management tools becomes pretty essential for collection, storage, analysis, making sense of it all.
And security around the logs themselves is key too, right? Controlling who can access or change them.
Absolutely critical. Secure access controls are vital. Plus, ensuring secure, long-term storage that meets whatever regulatory rules apply, and having solid backup procedures. You can't lose your logs.
And setting up real-time alerts for specific scary-looking events found in the logs. That seems like a must for quick response to breaches.
Definitely. Early detection is key. And maintaining the integrity of the logs, making sure they haven't been tampered with, maybe using write-once storage is crucial if they're ever needed for investigation.
So why are all these best practices so vital? What's the payoff?
Well, several big things. They're fundamental for proving you're compliant with regulations. They're essential for identifying and dealing with data breaches effectively. They help improve system stability by showing what went wrong. They allow for a thorough forensic analysis after an incident. They boost accountability by tracing actions to users. They ensure data integrity. They even provide insights for IT planning based on usage patterns. And ultimately, they just significantly strengthen an organization's overall security. It's foundational.
Foundational.
Okay.
Now, moving to another really interesting concept from Wikipedia, surveillance. Let's try and get a clear picture of this.
Right, surveillance. At its core, it's the act of an individual participant recording events or activities. It often gets called inverse surveillance or valence from below.
So, not the state watching citizens, but citizens watching.
Or just recording their own experience within a situation. It isn't necessarily anti-surveillance, but it provides a record from a different perspective, often from the viewpoint of those being observed by traditional surveillance.
The phrase, who watches the watchers,
Yeah.
comes up, but the entry said that's more like metavalence.
Yeah, surveillance is more about this distributed observation, individuals creating their own records of their experiences.
Right.
And the Wikipedia entry notes how sometimes tension can arise between traditional top-down surveillance and this bottom-up surveillance.
I could imagine.
But it also highlights the potential for surveillance to foster reciprocal accountability and for addressing issues like, say, election fraud or police misconduct, citing examples like cop watch groups and people using mobile phones to monitor elections, even just personal wearable tech like body cams or life logging devices kind of falls under this umbrella.
Fascinating idea. Okay, shifting gears again, let's look at what modern video AI can do based on that Google Cloud page. The capabilities seem pretty impressive.
They really are striking. We're talking about AI that can recognize thousands of different objects, places, actions within videos, both stored ones and live streams.
Wow.
It can detect when camera shots change, pull text out of the video using OCR, spot explicit content, automatically generate closed captions,
For accessibility.
recognize logos, even famous people, and do sophisticated analysis of human faces and poses.
And that ability to create custom labels with their AutoML video intelligence. That sounds incredibly powerful if you have very specific things you need to analyze in videos.
Exactly. It allows for really tailored video analysis. And this tech directly addresses the huge, ever-increasing amount of video data being generated and the need for efficient ways to actually understand what's in it.
Which leads perfectly into the practical need. If you have all this video, how do you make sure people find it? Optimizing it for search engines. That Forbes guide had some key tips.
Yeah, classic SEO principles applied to video. It stresses using relevant keywords, doing your keyword research in video titles, descriptions, tags, much like for a web page.
Makes sense.
And understanding YouTube's ranking factors is crucial too. Things like views, how long people watch time, engagement like likes, comments, shares, subscriber growth, and also where your videos get embedded online.
So it's not just the content, but how people interact with it and where it appears.
Exactly. And technical things matter too, like creating video sitemaps and using schema.org markup. These help search engines like Google actually crawl and understand your video content properly, especially if it's on your own website.
Right.
The guide also makes the good point that popular, high-quality videos just naturally attract more links and embeds from other sites, which in turn helps their search rankings. It's a virtuous cycle.
Okay. Now, as we've journeyed through all these different areas, AI, finance, security, video, we start seeing these interesting connections emerge, don't we? Especially thinking about Dr. Avi Rushenek's work.
Absolutely. As an accounting professor, his core expertise in data analytics is sort of the thread connecting many of these things.
Yeah.
His work in algorithmic formulation, designing the rules for both search engine optimization, getting things found online, and trading systems, automating financial decisions. That shows a deep understanding of turning data and rules into algorithms.
And his interest in forensic accounting and fraud examination fits right in too.
Definitely. Those fields increasingly rely on heavy data analysis and understanding the kind of digital audit trails we were just talking about. Even his involvement in mobile app development shows engagement with current tech across different fields.
You can really see how these themes of data analysis, algorithms, security, they weave through so many of the topics we've hit today.
Yeah, and that mention of continuous cloud sync video SEO audit trails from the VRobot 2014 event you found. That's particularly telling, isn't it?
It really ties things together. Video technology, online visibility via SEO, and the critical need for data logging and audit trails for accountability, all areas we've touched on.
And knowing Dr. Rushenek is on the editorial boards for journals covering forensic accounting and IT just reinforces that broad expertise and the links between these fields. Plus, seeing both Avi and Sarah Rushenek involved in that event and noting their joint publications from Sarah's CV, it points to a strong collaborative research dynamic there.
That collaboration is so often key in pushing these interdisciplinary boundaries. And that Reddit thread we saw about long-term cloud storage for video, that brings up a really practical challenge.
Totally. With more video being created, analyzed by AI, optimized with SEO, where do you keep it all affordably and securely long term?
Right. Discussing services like Backblaze or Wasabi, thinking about cost effectiveness, data egress fees.
Right.
It highlights the real world infrastructure needed to support all these advanced technologies.
It's not just about the fancy algorithms, it's about the plumbing too.
Exactly.
Okay.
Let's try and bring this all together. You've now taken a deep dive into a really diverse, but as we've seen, interconnected set of topics. From algorithmic trading and the vital role of audit logs.
This is the power of video AI and the importance of making content discoverable through SEO.
And what's so insightful, I think, is seeing how these fields, while they look distinct on the surface, are all fundamentally driven by increasingly sophisticated technology and the growing importance of data.
Yeah, how we analyze it, how we secure it, how we use it strategically. The wide-ranging work of someone like Professor Avi Rushenek really exemplifies the kind of cross-disciplinary thinking that's becoming essential to navigate this complex landscape.
So here's maybe a final provocative thought for you to mull over. As AI gets more deeply woven into our professional lives, our personal lives, analyzing markets, maybe assisting in legal cases, managing our digital memories, how does our basic understanding of trust, accountability, and transparency need to evolve?
That's a huge question. How do we ensure fairness and oversight?
Right. And concepts like surveillance individuals creating their own records and robust audit logging ensuring system accountability, they suddenly seem more critical than ever in that evolving context, don't they?
They really do. As we rely more on automated systems, figuring out how to maintain human oversight and embed ethical considerations right into their design and use, that's a major ongoing challenge. It demands constant dialogue and adaptation.
Absolutely. And finally, we really encourage you to think about which of these areas sparks your curiosity most. Maybe you want to dig deeper into specific algorithmic trading strategies, or compare cloud storage options, or think more about the societal implications of surveillance versus surveillance.
Yeah, this deep dive has really just scratched the surface. There's a whole world of information out there for you to explore further if any of these areas grabbed you.
So now we are wrapping it up, and I copied the URL of Loom. Then add it to the Pessar problem step recorder executable program, paste it in there, and OK. Then we're going to go back into the various notes files and pasting it also into the note files. So here you have two sessions of loop. The first one, edit, paste, and the second one, none which I've listened to so far. I want to file, save my notepad, then repeat it the same way for my WordPad. The first loom, and then after that, paste the second loom, and then again save it. Then I can go back and try to document further this loom. Let's see if we can play it back. And if we cannot play it back many times, what I like to do is simply try to reload it. And then the playback button appears all of a sudden.
They're fundamental for proving compliant regulations. They're essential for identifying and dealing with data breaches effectively. They help improve system stability by showing what went wrong. They allow for thorough forensic analysis after incident. They boost accountability by tracing actions to users. They ensure data integrity. They even provide insights for IT planning based on usage patterns. And ultimately, they significantly strengthen an organization's overall security. It's foundation. Okay.
Now, moving to another really interesting concept from Wikipedia. Surveillance. Let's try to get a clear picture of this.
Right, surveillance. At its core, is the act of an individual participant recording events or activities. It often gets called inverse surveillance or surveillance from below.
So, not state watching citizens, but citizens watching.
Or just recording their own experience within a situation. It isn't necessarily anti-surveillance, but it provides a record from a different perspective, often from the viewpoint of those being observed by traditional surveillance.
The phrase who watches the wires
Yeah.
comes up. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, surveillance is more about this distributed observation, individuals creating their own records of their experiences. And when we keep
And I add my notepad as comments and paste it in. And then I'm going to scroll to I added my WordPad. Now I'm back to my notepad. I select all and I edit, copy that. And I'm going to add that as a summary. Add that as a summary. Paste it in. Then scroll down to add chapters. Add 3 chapters for the following points of time: 0 seconds, 20 seconds, and 30 seconds, and save them. And finally, I'm going to go to the previous session and repeat the same thing for the previous session. Since it doesn't display, I'm going to reload it first. And once I reload it, I get the playback button to examine it. And since that's all perfectly good, I'm going to suspend it by pasting a comment into my notes, scrolling down, going back into the WordPad, selecting all of the WordPad, and then right mouse and copy it to the clipboard buffer and adding it as a summary. So I'm pasting the WordPad into the summary field of Loom, then scroll down to add chapters, and then save the 3 chapters. Finally, I can also look at the activity or the transcript copy the transcript and put it in my notes. So I have in my local folder here. I can copy a link. I want to mark about 1 hour ago. Mark all these notes and copy them to the clipboard buffer. Let's see if I paste it in my notepad here, what comes out. Yes, So I saved it in my notepad, and now I can navigate. No, I saved it in my word pad, and now I can navigate to my notepad and save it there too. For some reason, only one loom is there and the other loom disappeared somehow. I don't know how that happened, but something happened here. I'm going to segregate it with open bracket, then close bracket, and in the middle I'm going to put Control V, the notes. Then I want to get back the two loom addresses. Copy them, go back up to my notepad to the top there where I lost. Oh, here it is, so I didn't lose it actually. So File, Save, and now I'm ready to refresh my Pissar. I can also add I have the notepads in there, so the loom recordings in there, so I don't need to edit anymore. I'm going to stop the Pissar and then save the Pissar, increment the name. I click the Save button. I found the previous version, which was version A, and I incremented to version B. This is a poor man version control, so I attach to the year 2025 a B and delete the A, which is the previous version. Then I update the time to 3:14 p.m. So instead of 2:55, I'm going to write 3:14 p.m. And then I'll put a note, notebook LM, joined plus playback. So the join function plus playback. And then I'm going to copy the path to pissar.exe into the clipboard buffer and insert it or paste it in the first position of the file name with Control V, followed by a backslash. And now I got a string with the prefix of the path to the pissar.exe subfolder off of the documents folder of this PC. And to the right of the backslash is the file name updated. So now I review it by clicking in the first field of the Save As dialog box, and then the second field with the right mouse click, copy to the clipboard buffer and save. Then I click Review Additional Details to scroll up to see that this was a total of 113 steps. So then I start a new recording, and I add a comment to the new recording with a file name and location of the previous recording of pissar.exe. So there is a blockchain of folders within a subfolder about the theme of the topic of today. And then I click OK to proceed. Then go back to my various documents. First is the WordPad, and I paste the new Pissar file with a few spaces and save it. Then repeat the same thing for the Notepad. The second one is a text type of a format, file save, as opposed to the first one, which is a rich file, RTF, rich text file or format. And now I got the file listed in both and saved. file saved. So now I'm ready to wrap it up, start the various recording and test them. So I'm going to start with CyberLink, the webcam that recorded about almost an hour. So I press the stop button, tap it, wait for it to stop the recording, then double click it to playback. That sounds perfectly good, so I'm going to X out of it. Then I'm going to the next webcam software that uses another camera yet. The first one was using the built-in camera, and the second one is using the J5 Create 360 camera. I'm going to tap the stop button and stop it, then double click it to play it back. And it is perfectly good, so I'm going to X out of it. And finally, last but not least, is MSN Recorder. So I click on it to focus the cursor on it.